Hello and welcome back to my TransAmerica Trail Adventure Across America series. In part 10, I took a week off to adventure with my girlfriend who flew out to Colorado to visit me. We hiked, we rafted, and then we said goodbye. I rode south and reconnected with the Tat in New Mexico where I got soaked to the bone on more than one occasion. I also got to play in the mud as I made my way to Oklahoma. Once in Oklahoma, the scenery began to change as I made my way down the very long panhandle and into the eastern portion of the state. Most of the Tat through Oklahoma involved zigzagging down some farm roads with scenery that rarely changed, so I'll admit that I didn't take too many videos of this section. I was actually more intrigued by the little towns that would pop up from time to time, and just how ridiculously cheap everything was. One very creepy situation did arise that made me question my reality as I passed through an area of windmills in which every single one of them was completely stopped. Probably just a glitch in the Matrix though. Admittedly, this section of the Tat was pretty easy. The only thing that made it difficult was that it felt like it was just never going to end. Oh, and then there were the semis that would come at you at breakneck speed so fast that they would nearly blow you right off the side of the road. I rode from sunup to nearly sundown as I pulled into an amazing campground right on the lake. I was particularly happy with this campsite as it only cost me $5. There was also a pile of firewood next to the fire pit, and the showers were free. I was beginning to understand why people loved it here. The further east I made it across Oklahoma, the greener it became, which also meant more freaking bugs. Everywhere I looked, there were beetles and insects crawling all over the place. While I did enjoy viewing these specimens from a distance, I was still very happy to have the tent to keep these guys from walking over my face all night. The next day I hopped on my bike, which was now day 34 since I left home on my adventure. The smoke had followed me all the way from Oregon, leaving everything looking a little hazy. I crossed over this amazing bridge and got to see just how ginormous this lake truly was, which I also found out was a world-class catfishing spot. I reunited with the Tat, which I will admit was pretty uneventful. The trails were dry and well-maintained. Trees, however, started to pop up here and there, which was honestly sort of a relief after traveling through the plains for what felt like an eternity. I honestly never really understood how large this state was going from west to east. The plains just seemed to go on forever and ever. Every once in a while you get to see something strange on the highway, like this truck that just about took up both lanes, but mostly it was just riding through some farmlands. Eventually a city appeared on the horizon, but something fishy was going on in this town. There were cameras posted throughout the streets along with trailers and tents all over the place. As it turns out, they were filming the upcoming movie Killers of the Flower Moon. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see my boy Leo, but it was still interesting to see the set. I rode onwards until I encountered something I had not seen since I was a kid while crossing the bridges in San Francisco. Toll roads that still take quarters. I was a little upset that there were no discounts for motorcycles, even though technically they do have 2 axles, but at 75 cents it wasn't going to break the bank. I made up some time on the scenic highway through Cherokee Nation, but before I knew it I was crossing the state line into Arkansas. It was a long day of riding, but I was happy to have finally made it to a new state. The scenery changed almost immediately. The forest swallowed me up as I weaved along the curvy roads. I honestly had no idea that Arkansas was this beautiful. I felt like this state is one of the best kept secrets in America. Arkansas was beginning to look swampy, something I had never seen before, and I liked it. I set up camp at Cow Patty's campground, which had some of the loudest bugs I ever encountered. Just listen. I was honestly in shock at the number of bugs that could exist in one place, and honestly had trouble sleeping with all the noise. But what I did enjoy was the laid-back way of life in Arkansas. I mean, who doesn't love sweet tea? The next morning I hopped on the road to reconnect with the Tat. I was honestly blown away by how green and magnificent this state was. Some of the houses I passed by looked like something straight out of a Disney Channel movie. But that's not why you came here. You came here to see the Tat, and spoiler alert, it's even more beautiful than the developed areas. The forest would just gobble you up and spit you out on some sketchy bridges that crossed over the seemingly infinite creeks and rivers. I was having an absolute blast navigating through the dense forest, taking in all the sights and fresh air. I found myself stopping on a near constant basis just to pull over and snag some shots of all these amazing water features. When I first started planning for the TransAmerica Trail, this is how I imagined it. Beautiful green forest, the wind in my face, warm in the sun and cool in the shade. Arkansas continued to amaze me mile by mile as the weather and trails were just phenomenal. And while I could take hundreds of videos and panoramics like these, which are still cool, but I don't think that they really portray the vastness that is the Ozark National Forest. So I did you a solid and sent up the old flying rat to give you a visual, which even I was honestly astonished by the views. The hills of green seemed to go on forever, and there were little signs of human life. I felt like I was back in the desolate forests of Oregon where I was once again required to be self-reliant, as encountering a problem this far out in the middle of nowhere could make for a sticky situation. Luckily, my bike and gear were holding up, allowing me to cover some good distance while still enjoying the ride. I was only a small ways into Arkansas, but there was still so much to experience. Unfortunately, you'll have to wait until part 12 to see what else this wonderful state sends my way. Thank you so much for watching part 11 of my TransAmerica Trail Adventure Across America series. In part 12, I finish out the Arkansas section of the Tat and make my way to Mississippi. And yes, I guarantee you there will be more bugs, because I know that was your next question.